Hey guys, this is Vlad with Virtual Gear, and today I wanted to show you guys these two saws. This is going to be a comparison video. This is the Bahco Laplander and the Silky Gomboy 210. A lot of debate about these two saws. I've had them both for quite a while. I've used them extensively in the woods where I'm working out here. And I wanted to give you guys kind of a side-by-side comparison of these two saws and tell you what I think about them. So let's get started. Alright, so first things first, let's get the specs out of the way. Start with the weight. The Bahco Laplander comes in at 187 grams or so, or 6.6 ounces. And the Silky Gomboy is a little bit heavier. Comes in at about 230 or so grams, or 8.1 ounces. I think this one's a little bit heavier because it has more kind of steel components in there. The dimensions of these, in the closed position, the Silky Gomboy is about 9.5 inches exactly, and the Bahco Laplander is 9 inches. Open, the Silky Gomboy comes in at about, 17.5 or so, and the Bahco Laplander is at 16 exactly. The blades, the Silky Gomboy has about 7.5 inches of teeth, and the Bahco Laplander comes in about 7.25. So pretty similar in overall in the dimensions. The Silky Gomboy is a little bit longer, a little bit heavier, but the Bahco Laplander is a little bit wider in the palm swell there. And also, the blades on them are pretty much identical in width. So, pretty similar saws. You almost can't tell the difference in weight. This one's a couple of ounces heavier. This one's a little bit thicker in the back, so pretty similar. Moving on from there, country of origin. This one's made in Japan. Really good, known for really good steel, really good quality, especially in like the the tree department, like pruning and stuff. The Bahco Laplander is made in Sweden, also known for really good quality steel. This is high quality steel, design and quality. Bahco made in Sweden, really nice. So both really good, reputable companies, really good quality in both of them. The next big thing is the price. So the Bahco Laplander, you can get on Amazon for about $20, maybe $25. And the Silky Gomboy is about $40, so almost twice as much. Next, just kind of moving on to some of the features. Both of them have a lock, so it says here press. The one thing about the Bahco is that it locks in both the closed and the open position. So press the button, opens it, it's locked. Close it, it's locked there as well. Whereas the Silky Gomboy only has a lock in the open position, so that kind of clicks in there. And it also has like a second position here, so you can kind of tilt it back even further, like that. So to kind of get the high branches and kind of get the awkward cuts sometimes, but does not lock in the closed position. Both of them are kind of a two-handed operation. Although if this one is really clean and oiled, I can get it to with one hand where I can kind of fling the blade out, but that takes a little bit of finesse. Whereas this one, you need to press the lock and pull out the blade. So, kind of both have a two-handed operation. Moving on to the actual blades. The Silky Gomboy has a blade with like a single direction cut. So, it cuts on the pull and kind of cleans out the chips on the push. Whereas the Bahco has a bidirectional cut. So, it cuts both on the pull and the push. The Bahco has a steel blade, but a composite handle with a kind of rubberized grip here, with a plastic insert, so kind of a better quality build on the Gomboy. Both of them have a steel nut here that holds the blade in. This one just has kind of a standard Phillips, or you can also use a flathead screw on there, whereas this one has kind of a beefier, bigger washer and screw holding the blade in there. So those are kind of the main similarities and differences between them. Some pros and cons of both of them, starting with the Bahco. Some of the pros: it's light, it's super cheap, $20, and it has a bidirectional cut, which I like a lot. So it cuts, both the pull and the push. That kind of gives it a faster cut than most other saws. some pros of the Gamboy. The superior construction, it's metal, nice super sharp teeth that hold an edge for a long time. Also, the blade is replaceable on here, so you take out this nut here, you can take the blade out and buy another one. You can get different teeth per inch. You can get like a finer saw, a more coarse saw, and you can buy the replacement blades on, I think, Amazon for like $20. So whereas the Bahco, the blade does come off, but you cannot find replacements, or I have not been able to find them on Amazon anywhere. But in its defense, the whole saw costs $20, whereas you can just get a blade for this one for $20. So, there's that to consider as well. Is it really worth buying just a new blade for that one? Whereas you can buy like a whole new saw here. But also consider that, one's a little bit of a better quality there. Some cons now. One thing I don't like about the Gamboy is this kind of lever here that releases the blade. Sometimes you want to get like a grip like this on the saw, and when you're cutting, you kind of press the button. You can get used to kind of having your finger on the side and getting it out of the way. But that's just kind of one of the things I don't like. Also, I don't like that it only cuts in one direction. I really like that this thing cuts both directions. And one of the biggest, I think, cons of this saw for me is how brittle the saw blade actually is. I have a couple of these here. I have another one here. You might notice that this one's considerably shorter. I actually broke this blade off like the day that I bought this thing. I took it out to the woods and I was using it, and I was pulling out of a cut, and as I pushed it back in, the blade bound up and it just twisted and snapped off. And I thought, maybe it's my user error, so I bought another one, this one here, and I took it out, and then the very next day the same thing happened. I was pulling it out, I was going to go back in for the cut, the blade stuck, twisted, and snapped. Luckily, none of the teeth on this one snapped off, so I'm still using it. Whereas with these Bahcos, I have many of these. This one I painted orange so I don't lose it, because it's kind of hard to see if you drop it out into like the grass. These the same thing has kind of happened where I've twisted the blade and it just bends and doesn't snap. So I like that a lot. You can kind of bend it back out. It's still very sharp and it's still going strong. So the one thing I don't like about these is, maybe it's just me, but maybe the steel's a little bit too brittle, and it just breaks on me. So those are kind of the pros and cons of the two. Now the question is it really worth paying, twice as much for one of these Gamboys as it is for one of these Bahcos? And it kind of depends on how much money you have and what you're looking for. But if you're looking for kind of a really good saw for a good price, I go with the Bahco. Even though it's a little bit shorter and a little bit of a inferior build quality to the Gamboys, it's half as cheap. So you can get two of these for the price of one of these. But if you're looking for something that's going to last you a little bit longer, that you can modify, and you have the money, go for one of these. It's sharper, it's built better. You can swap the blade, like I said, and it just feels a little bit better in the hand. It's kind of feels a little more sturdy. But the question is though, is this Silky Gamboy twice as good as one of these Bahcos? And I don't think it is. You're paying twice as much for it, but you're not getting twice as much quality for it. And if you have the money to spend, then you can go right ahead and get one of these. They're a really good saw. But if you're on a budget looking for a good saw that'll work almost as well, then one of these Bahcos is a really nice choice. I've had 4 of them. I think I lost one in the brush pile. That's why I got this one and painted it orange. And I just have these I use my other packs and stuff. And that's the cool thing about these, that they're so cheap you can get a bunch of them and kind of stash them everywhere. And you have one of these ready all the time. So that's my opinion. I think that for the price, the Bahco Laplander is a better purchase, or more value. But disregarding the price, the Gamboy is a little bit better than these ones. Cuts a little bit better build quality. All right, so there's a little cutting test here. I got about a 3-inch diameter pine log here. It's just pretty fresh, so pretty sticky still. So we'll kind of see how fast these get through the wood. The one thing I've noticed about the Silky Gamboy is that it gets kind of jammed up in the resiny wood much more than the Bahco does. I think that the Bahco has like a nice coating on it that kind of prevents that sticking. whereas the Gomboy does not. And I think that's kind of why I broke these blades, is that they got kind of jammed up in the wood when I was pushing back and they broke off. You can kind of see like the resiny coating on this blade here from what I've been cutting with it today. So I'll just go right at it and kind of see what happens here. Remember that the Gomboy only cuts on the pull, whereas the Laplander cuts on both cuts. So to kind of try to make this an equal kind of a cut test here. Make sure you guys can see. I'll just go right for it. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, done. So you can see there, pretty quick, makes a really clean cut, really smooth. I mean, that's pretty fast. And even though this is broken, this is not missing any teeth, so still kind of the full capacity there. All right, so that was Silky Gomboy. Let's try the Bahco Laplander. Kind of cut really close here for the same diameter and see how this goes. All right, in 3, 2, 1. And done. So really fast too. I think this was a little bit faster. I think it's because of the the bidirectional cutting teeth on it. They're both really nice. If you're cutting stuff, this big, you won't really tell the difference between how fast they cut. Only if you get into like the bigger stuff, where that extra cutting time will be exaggerated. Whereas for the small stuff, like 2 inches and under, they'll be almost the same. And I'll put up the time so you guys can see how fast each one performed. I think this one was a little bit faster. I've used both of them for about the same amount of time, so they have kind of a similar wear on the blades, so not like this one's new or this one is new. I've used them kind of both equally. Alrighty guys, I hope that was informative to you guys. Hopefully that was an interesting review or a comparison video between these two saws. And these are pretty often debated, which one is better, which one is worse. I think they're both good. I think they both have their pros and cons. But I think if I was to buy another one, I'd buy one of these. That's what it comes down to. So hopefully that was informative. Hope you guys like that. Leave any questions or comments down in the comments section. Also, you can find the links to buy these on Amazon in the description of the video. As always, have a great day, and don't forget to praise God. This has been Vlad with Revere Outdoor Gear, and I'll see you guys in the next video.